morning, everybody. I got into the shop early this morning, sitting around drinking my coffee, and I decided I'm gonna start tearing into this car to just kind of see what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna attack it. I'm addressing the rear suspension right now. I started taking it apart. I was like, let me go grab a camera. I'm gonna jack it up, get it in place, look around, see how everything fits. And I've got new bags for the back, so I'm gonna kind of see where they might fit placement wise on the rear end. So I'm just gonna kind of start running through it. And if I see anything interesting, I'll tell you about it and show you along the way. So check it out. I'm gonna go grab a measurement off the wheels that are gonna be on this car just for an idea on tire height and wheel center. And I'm gonna try to get my rear end kind of where it would be laid out on the ground and see where my pinion angle is. Because the pinion angle's a little low for me, probably where some of the vibration comes from, like if you get too high. So I'm gonna either have to notch the floor or just not go quite as low. So we'll see. I'm just getting some measurements and feeling things out. Sorry for rambling. Chase showed up, so I've been BSing with Chase. I went and grabbed the wheel because I want to be sure where this thing's going to sit with something around this height. So I'm going to air it up. Something that sucks about these kinds of cars, and I'm going to try to find a solution, is they tuck so much in the back that it's hard to get the back tire off, and I had an issue with that when we took these off of the car. So I'm going to see if I can come up with any solution as far as lift or axle clearance to get this on. So I'm gonna air it up, try to get it on there, and then see what it looks like then. So that's it at around 12 inches of lift. And I expect to get around 10 out of these bags, close to it. And I think you could stretch them a little further to get your tire off and on. And if I went with a little bit skinnier tire, it'd be even easier. We shall see. So I kind of got a pretty good idea what I'm gonna do, my plan of action without, because it's easy to take things too far. I'm gonna go ahead and get everything out of the way in the back of the car so I can access the rear end well and easily. I do need to redo the upper and lower brackets. I'm not gonna drill holes in there. I'm gonna have to redo those brackets, and I think everything else is gonna work out pretty good. It may sit a little bit higher in the back just because of clearance issues, but we're gonna see. I'm gonna get these pieces out of here, get the area cleaned up, and then start making new mounts. So I figured out why this right rear wheel is locking up a lot. Let me show you. You see that brake line right there coming out of this T? So this is your flex line coming to this box, this distribution block. This one goes to the left rear wheel and this one goes to the right rear wheel. That kink in the line right there, I don't know if that happened from me letting it go up too high, stretching out too far or what, but that is definitely what's keeping that right rear wheel locked up. So brake lines are like my favorite thing to do, which is an absolute lie, but that's definitely the fix for that. It's time for me to stop procrastinating, start cutting these pieces out of here. The saddles on the axle, they're gonna be the hardest part to cut off without pulling the rear end out, because on this side it's against the U-bolt. I'm probably gonna have to at least pull the U-bolts, and if I do that, I might just pull the rear end. We're gonna see. We'll see what happens. See if I can get my air hammer, now that I've cut along that weld, see if I can make this thing pop right there, because I'm trying not to get into the square tubing this bracket is actually mounted on. I got it. We're gonna go ahead and cut this other side and then change blades, try to get that piece on out of there. I got it. Ta-da! Oh, why's your back hurt, Russell? Because I've been stuck inside there on a funny position all day. Okay, so check it out. Let me show you. You see where the holes are on the top of that bag, where the holes are on the top of this plate? They're not gonna line up. And this plate was in there like this, and I want my bag to sit in there where the plate's sideways like this, so my fittings got room to come off. I'm gonna clean these brackets up. Well, actually, I'm gonna like do some placement. Really, I'm not even gonna do that right now. Because I gotta cut the bottom ones off because they're not on there flat. Like there needs to be a happy medium, because with the 2-link, the way a 2-link's arc works, it's gonna change its level anyway. I need that bag to be as flat as possible and maybe even a little off kilter at laid out, so that when it's at ride height, it's as level as possible. And I know these bags are made to flex and lean, but I feel like that's gonna give you a better ride, and I don't know. That's what I wanna do, so that's what I'm doing. So now I gotta figure out how to get this bottom plate off. So once I make a choice, I'll be back. All right, so on these bottom perches that the bag sits on the axle, they're saddled to the axle. I'm gonna try to cut straight down against the sides of them and see if I can get that weld cut off loose enough so that I can just beat them off of there, and then maybe I can clean that weld up. I'm trying to keep from pulling the rear end out, because once I get these off and I can clean them up out here, I can get them back on without pulling the rear end. I don't want to pull the rear end. I don't want to pull the rear end. So that's what I'm trying to do, because I don't want to pull the rear end. I gotta get a torch. I've got my brake line out of the way, got my air line out of the way. I'm gonna get the torch and see what happens. So I went ahead and grabbed the fire extinguisher also. The gas tank is right here, so it could go south. So just be prepared, because this is gonna make some heat and make some sparks, so it's gonna let you know if there's any leaks. This is how you test for leaks in your fuel system. That's a joke. Don't do that for real. I'm gonna try to just wash the welds off best I can, because I don't want to get into the axle tube itself, and I want to be able to reuse the bracket if I can. I may not be able to. Here we go. I made templates for my lower bag brackets, and these are the pedestals that will mount to the axle. I cut them out with a torch, and it's been a long time, so now I'm gonna make them all look the same. Check them out. Oh, they look like poopy. But I've welded them all together, and now I'm gonna make them all match with a grinder. The best thing to do when doing this monotonous work, because this is the kind of stuff that sucks if you're not paying to have everything laser cut, man, put you some headphones in, find something you like listening to, and just space out and do the work. It'll be done as soon as you get done with it. Tell y'all another lesson. This, I used to be a lot better with a torch than I am right now, so this kind of is a lesson in taking your time, getting your settings a little bit better on your torch, because you can do this with just a cutting torch. We recently acquired a plasma cutter, but I wanted to see if I still had what it took, and I didn't. So I did a lot of grinding. They are all the same now, and this is just my lower bracket. There's 4 of them suckers. Yeah, long story short, freaking take your time, because whatever you rush through over here, you gotta take care of over here. I'm just gonna clean this mill scale off of the edges on all of these so that I can weld to them very cleanly. Y'all wanna hear something dumb? Chase and I were just having a discussion about this giant belt buckle that he has. And I was like, man, that sucker be getting into your belly every time you bend over. And it's not even that big, I've seen bigger. But I was like, I couldn't do it getting into me. He's like, that's why you gotta tuck your shirt in. But then I was like, when you tuck your shirt in, it's just like advertising your belly line, and it makes your belly look even bigger with your shirt tucked in. And so we're both standing there with our shirts tucked in,
looking at each other,
looking at each other's bellies and how dumb we look.
We're just sitting there laughing.
And he said, what if somebody walked by right now and saw us doing what we're doing?
We just had our shirts tucked in, just talking to each other. We were like this.
Like, oh, look at my belly. Oh, look at your belly. Oh, see, it makes your belly look worse.
Yeah. I was like,
how stupid do we look? I got all my brackets made. I need some 8-inch flat bar so that I can make a plate that's big enough that the bag doesn't rub the edges of it. I really want to make something that gives the bag a smooth surface to hit. So while I'm waiting on that, I can't get any today. It's almost the end of the day. I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt the U-bolts off the rear end so that I can clean up the old welds on the rear end and clean up the area where I'm gonna weld on my new brackets. And I don't wanna do this, and I've been putting it off because I don't wanna grind in the car, I don't wanna grind under the car, I don't wanna undo the brake line, I don't wanna undo the drive shaft. I'm gonna try to leave as much of it in there as possible, but I might have to prevent long-term back injury. So I went this morning and got some 8-inch flat bar. We're gonna make new top and bottom plates out of this so that our bag, when it's compressed, sits flat on here. If you look at the top, the edge of the bag, when it's compressed, will rub against that edge. And I want it to sit flat on plate.
That way it doesn't rub a hole in it.
Yeah, that's the theory anyway. It may not ever happen, but that's what I'm gonna do. But first off, I've got to get under here and clean off the rear end where the old brackets were. So I got grinding to do.
You've got some, a little bit of grinding. Let me see.
I'm gonna rewash the welds with the torch.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna use the torch to clean that off a little more. They call that washing. To wash it off of there, you just kind of use the torch to just take off little layers. So I have less grinding to do. I just want to get this car mobile, but I need to clean the rear end to make it look better and to make it weld better. I just washed all these welds. That's what I call it when you use the torch. Use the torch just to like clean off the excess as best I could without messing anything up. And now I'm only gonna give you a little bit of this shot because it's gonna be a whole bunch of me bent over inside this car, grinding and grinding and grinding. So you can look at my butt for a few minutes, but then I'm gonna cut this off. All right, it's just gonna be a whole lot more of that. And I've got 3 more of those to do, so I'll be back with you in just a minute. All right, so the next part of this process, like I said a while ago, is putting this rear end back together. My 2-link bars are in here. Just need to put my U-bolts back on. I know there's gonna be somebody out there that's gonna say, the 2-link dog, you need a 4-link, or you need a triangulated 4-link, or you need a cantilever setup. I know that some things work better than other things, but man, we've been using 2-links for a long time. I've bagged a ton of trucks with 2-links, and they do work. Is it a performance enhancing thing? Probably not, but if you want to go up and down, they work good, they're simple to make. But either way, man, it's just what you expect out of the vehicle at the end of the day. And this one was already done, and so I'm not gonna change it. I'm gonna leave it like it is and live with it. And if you don't like it, you can buy it and change it. Everything's cleaned up, 2-link is back bolted in. Chase is running around like a mad person, so you know something's about to happen in here. I don't know what it is, but he's finna do something. But let me show you what I got. Rear end jacked back up in place. You can see how high up in the car the rear end will go. We're not gonna go quite that high because we wanna make it where if we have air failure, we won't hit the ground. Here's my 8-inch flat bar. I got my first mark here for my top plate. I gotta make 2 top plates, and then I'm gonna make 2 round plates for the bottom, 8-inch round plates for the bag to sit on. So that's the next step in my process, is start cutting this stuff up and drilling holes, and then I'll be back with you maybe to explain some of the stuff along the way. Somewhere out there's a real welder telling me, turn your acetylene up or your oxygen down, but I got them son of a bitches cut out anyway. It's not terrible. It's hot. That one's hot. They're really hot. But I've already center punched my holes in them. And so I'll drill my center hole first, and then I can bolt them together, and I can use my little protractor here, compass, that's a compass. I can use my little compass here and redraw my circle and grind them, you know, just a little bit of grinding, shape them up nice, and they'll be good little brackets. Let's clean up a little bit of this slag so we can drill our holes in them and then bolt them together, grind them even.
Now let's go to the drill press.
It's hard to push the buttons on this camera with these moon gloves on. I got the bag brackets welded in on this car yesterday, and now I am trying to get all the sheet metal work done in the trunk. It's got a cover for the notching bags and everything right now, but I need to kind of improve upon it a little bit and seal it up a little better, and just gonna try to make the trunk area look real nice because we're gonna redo the interior on this car also. So I'm kind of bring you along and show you each little step of the way that I'm doing. I'll show you the first thing right here. Check this out. This is my notch cover. I trimmed a little bit off of it to make it fit in there a little bit looser. There was a piece of sheet metal right across this back. I am going to make a new piece that has a lip on it, so this has something to mount to, and then we'll make a piece to cover up this rear section. That's kind of my mission, is just to get this cover made where it bolts in and looks nice, and then we can start hooking up the air supply again and rerunning wires and air lines. Get this thing mobile. We got fuel injection on the way for it thanks to Holly. Holly hooked us up with their Quadrajet replacement something or another. I don't remember the name of it. Wes is gonna put it up on the screen, and it should be here any day now. And that'll make this car a lot more enjoyable, a lot easier. Carburetors are just not my jam. And it's not my jam because I don't understand them. That's why they're not my jam. But it's gonna make me happy. And then new tires and fresh interior. Just get this thing on the road, and then we're gonna start cleaning up the paint and everything on it. This is one of those things I should probably have help with, but I'm here by myself and I don't want to wait. So you see that piece of sheet metal over there behind me leaning against the wall? I'm gonna try to get that thing over here so I can cut some pieces off of it to finish working on this notch cover, so y'all can watch me struggle. Here we go. Oh, this ain't bad. Struggle's my middle name. Sometimes you just gotta make the pieces you need. I got this cut off. It's 1.5 inches wide by 46 inches long. We are going to now take this and put it up against, we're gonna take this and put it up against this back wall where all the braces are, and we're gonna mark off where the braces are and then trim out a section so this will slide over those braces. Then we'll tack it in place right there where it sits. So here's my piece. I got my little notches cut out of it. And I stuck this camera here so I can do this all at one time. I hadn't even test fit it yet, so we're gonna see how much of a dummy I am. I'm no dummy at all.
I'm no dummy.
I'm just gonna take a little bit off this corner. Kind of a little pie cut right here, so I can tuck this end in more. I got a pretty wide gap on this one. This one down here fit tight, and this one in the middle's got enough slack in that brace, it's gonna fit tight too. So let me kind of show you where I'm at with what I'm doing here, because I'm kind of jumping ahead on y'all and I want to show you a couple things. Here's my notch cover. It slides up there. Then this little piece is actually gonna go underneath there, but I'm just fitting everything, so I got it on top so I can see it. This little piece will weld into all this bracing. This will bolt to that. And then over here, where the pieces were welded in, they're bent down like this. You see how bent down it is. And this one, I've hammered and dollied flat so I can fill this area and this area with a piece of sheet metal so we can seal off any of the undercarriage of the car to the passenger compartment. I'm gonna show you how I hammer and dolly this little lip out. I could have cut this off, but I need as much material as I can, so I'm just gonna hammer and dolly that lip back up, give me some more material to weld to, and I can make my new pieces for that spot, so check it out. So what I've got here is the pieces I cut out. This is gonna be my under support that goes underneath this cover. So I've got it out right now. I'm just getting the welds cleaned up on it, and then I'm going to clamp it to the bottom side of this piece so I can slide it all back in there, and then I'll tack this in place in the car, and then I can take this out of the way and finish welding this piece in. Sorry, I get way ahead of myself. Let me tell you about the dilemmas that plague me. I've made this piece, and this is what's gonna weld inside the car that this piece is going to bolt to. But I don't want to do all my hole drilling inside the car once this piece is welded in, because it's gonna be hard to get in there and drill holes because I'm gonna be in the trunk of the car. And my Threadsetter tool, which is what I prefer to use,
takes up too much space to get in there, and they make a compact one. I don't have it. I could clamp this together right now, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. Like this fits in one spot and this fits in one spot, and making them fit together is a bit of a pickle also. So what I think I'm gonna do, stupid as this is, I'm gonna put this in there. I have it marked off where it needs to be, and I'm gonna tack it in place. And then I'll put this in on top of it, tacked in, run a few self-tappers through it, pull it back out, and use those self-tappers as my lineup to where it goes. Drill all my holes, set all my thread setters, and then go back in with this piece one final time and weld it out. Because the mission with this is to seal the underside of the car up so no gases are getting into the passenger compartment or into the trunk compartment. That's what I'm trying to do here. And I can run me a gasket and bolt all this together and blah, 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 but you know what I'm saying. So that's what I'm gonna do.
I'm taking all the interior out and just taking all the seats out, all this carpet, just everything. And I've got a little spot. Well, I don't know what Russell's over there saying, but I'm stripping this car down while Russell builds the back of this truck car. All right, Russell's back here doing this. Hi, Russell.
Hey, guys.
Got the back seat out, about to pull this front seat out and the carpet. And then we're gonna start, I guess. Should we pull this trim out right now?
What trim?
All these pieces, doors.
If
We're
you
gonna
want
have to
to.
wash it.
Yeah, if you want to. All right. If you want to.
How's that dash come out?
That dash don't come out.
Oh, we gotta paint that inside the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the question is, for our color combo that we're doing, do you want to leave that chrome that's on the dash chrome, or do it black also?
Leave it black.
Yeah.
I would say black. Everything black. No. Just the chrome pieces on the dash be
I
black.
see some chrome parts and I want to paint them black.
That's not how the song goes. All right, I'm gonna get to it.
Chase, dog, what is happening here? Look at this. Look at this. Hold on, I'm backing up, y'all. Stuck my foot.
We're uncovering hidden secrets in the car. What is this crap called? Sound deadening?
Yeah.
Heat shield stuff? It's a pain in the butt to take off.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back in here with a drill and like a wire wheel and clean this up, and then I think we're going to order some POR 15, but do not, Chase's tech tip of the day is do not order a gallon of POR 15 because
It's gonna dry up on your ass.
it's hard to keep it from drying up, you know. So just order the smaller jugs, the little smaller pint and quart sizes, and yeah, that's just a tip of the day. So we're gonna clean this one up and do POR 15 on it and put some better sound deadening in it.
Look at it all.
And then I get to build some panels.
Yeah. The interior, man.
Yeah.
Getting to do the interior.
Heck yeah. Russell's doing his thing with the suspension. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing.
Well, what did I say about this car, Chase?
It's like old Mac.
And what's it mean when it's like old Mac?
There's no rules.
That's right.
We can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want.
We just got a package from the UPS man. It was my brother actually delivered this package. He works for UPS. I'm gonna unbox it with you. This is what we need for this 210 to be a way cooler street car. Let's get this crap out of the way. This car has a carburetor on it right now. It has a Pontiac 455 in it. But we reached out to Holly, and Holly sent us their Sniper EFI for this car. And look, it even says it on the side right there. It looks so awesome. I'm excited about this like Chase Calloway would be excited. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Yeah, this is amazing. I'm excited about this for sure. This is gonna make this car a way more reliable and pleasurable car to drive. I'm not putting it on today. I just had to look at it because dang, man, how many times do you get parts and you just go look at them? You just gotta look at them. Would you just look at this?
Oh, would you look at this?
Just look at it. Just look at it. Look at these parts. Is that not awesome? That's what I do when I get new parts. Can't resist it. So, there you go. That's the first thing we're gonna do. Look at that part, put it back in its home, and we're gonna move on to the next step in this car. All right, so now that we got our unboxing therapy out of the way, we actually have to do some work. This is our piece, our notch cover. I've got all the holes drilled in it. I need to take these temporary self-tapping screws out, and then we can take this out of the way, and we're left with our mounting bracket that has all of our screw holes for our thread setters right where we need them. Now this piece will get all of these little dumoflachis. I talk about them all the time. These are thread setters. I call them thread setters. Some people call them crush nuts, but I talk about this a lot because I love this tool, man. It is so handy for making things nice. So handy. But this is the tool for it. These go in these little holes right here, just like so. You thread it into this, crush that thing down, and bazinga. You got built-in little nuts to put a bolt on. So we'll be able to put us a gasket on this piece, bolt this cover onto it, and seal this piece up, but still be able to remove it and have access. So if you ever need to work on your air ride, because everybody knows if you got air ride, eventually you're gonna have to do something to it. That's just the nature of the beast. And Zapparoni, there is that piece with my thread setters all in it, all the way around. So the next step, what I need to do is I need to go in and clean the areas all the way around where I'm gonna weld this in. So I have bare metal to weld it to. And then I will take and set this in there, and I will probably tack it into place, test fit the cover and make sure nothing changed, pull the cover back off, and then I will stitch weld this all the way around so that I give us a good seal around our wheel wells and at the back of where the seats go in. So what I'll do is I'm gonna get these areas cleaned up in the car, get this test fit, and I'll get back with you here in just a second. All right, so I've got this piece tacked in here and I got the cover back on. So I've even went ahead and bolted it all the way around so I can be sure it all fits nicely. So I've just got it tacked in. I need to make this lower mount work nicely. And then right here where the old spare tire used to be, I need to make a filler piece for right here because that goes into the underside of the car. So I'm gonna make a filler that acts as a mount here because we're gonna take this spare tire hole, we're gonna move our battery down there, we're gonna move all our wiring and accessories for our air ride electronics down there, and that'll get that stuff out of the way, and that'll let me get the tank and compressors looking nice in the back. And then on the front side, what I need to do, this is the piece that's welded in, and this is the cover bolted on all the way across there. Now I need to make fillers for right here, so we can completely seal off the passenger compartment from the underside of the car. That's the mission with this. And we'll clean up all of this. I'm going to stitch weld across the top of this, and then I will do spot welds around the side and come back and seam seal everything. And we'll just continue cleaning things up on this car. My next step really is gonna be making this front filler where the spare tire goes and making the two fillers in the front at the passenger compartment. I made my templates for the front side. They were fairly straightforward. And this is just some old, you know those big giant calendars that sit on people's desks? This is the back of that. We had one at the house that was from last year and my wife was gonna throw it away. I said, no, I'm gonna take that cardboard to work because I know I'm gonna use it, and we used it. So the one for the wheel tub, the little template for the wheel tub, I kind of undercut it a little bit. So I need it to start tapering out. At this point, it needs to taper out a little wider at the top. So I just got an extra piece of cardboard. Not gonna waste anything. And I'm just gonna tape this piece of cardboard to this piece and give me a little expansion instead of just throwing away the whole thing. Nice, nice, nice. I can still see my mark where I want it to break over because this is gonna come up and have a little bit of a lip. That is good enough that when I cut it, it's gonna fit in there. So I'm gonna cut these two pieces also, and then I need to go get me some weld through primer. I don't have any here at the shop, but for installing these pieces especially, because I'm gonna be doing some spot welds, I need to clean the area underneath it, but we also need to add some corrosion protection underneath that area because you're never gonna be able to get to it again once you weld the piece in. So we're gonna put some weld through primer on there, make sure it doesn't rust on us in the future. And then this piece right here, where this top line is here and this top line is here, It'll be broke over to a 90 so it fits the floorboard underneath there and seals off that whole area completely. And you could make a little cubby hole stash spot with where this is gonna be.
And you can put your weed in there.
But anyway, I'm gonna start getting these cut out of metal. Then we'll go to lunch, get us some weld through primer, try to get these pieces tacked in today.
Nice. Now we just clean that up around these edges, and we need some weld through primer for that also, but we'll stitch weld this around, and then I just need to make me a bracket for this to sit on flat. Sweet. All right, so now we take a look at these two pieces, and you see this piece is just gonna fit right here. And we'll drill some holes here and all the way around and put big spot welds in it, and then stitch weld this top edge. Same thing on this side. Like I said, we need some weld through primer for that also, but we'll have all these pieces in there. Just need to make a filler for these couple little holes here and fill in a couple of these other little holes around the car. That's our pieces. So I'm gonna go get me some lunch and see if I can find me some weld through primer. We'll come back and start tacking everything together.
So I just got back from Sonic.
Sonic?
Got some weld through primer from Aussie Auto Parts. The stuff I used to get was at the body shop when I worked there, actually. I say I used to get it, the body shop had it. It was from Kent, it was gray. This is black, but as long as it does the job, I don't care. We're gonna set that there very lightly. While I was walking back out here in preparation for getting started on this next thing, I knew I needed to drill some holes in this metal because I want to put some spot welds in it. I bought this tool a very long time ago. I mean, a very long time ago. And I bought it more because I thought it was cool than out of necessity, because I really haven't used it that much. But it is a punch and flare tool. This side will flare sheet metal so you can lap it over, and this side has a little hole punch in it. Now I'm using 16 gauge sheet metal because it's what we have. And I decided to try and see if it'll punch holes in this so I don't have to drill holes. And it does. Takes it a sec. Let it hang in there for a second, and then you gotta kind of wiggle it back out of there, but that's still better than drilling holes. So that's what I'm gonna do, is punch some holes in this metal. Then we're gonna clean up all the edges, so we're gonna weld it, and then we're gonna spray on some weld through primer, and then we're gonna clamp it all in there and weld it up.
All right, check it out. Here are my two inside pieces. I got weld through primer on them. I've got all my holes for spot welds in them. Here is my filler piece for the spare tire. It's just stuck in there. I still need to do some trimming on this top side here to make it sit a little flush, but I'm not even gonna worry about it right now. This is my weld through primer where I'm gonna be putting spot welds. And like I said, this top edge will be getting stitch welded. So we're gonna let that dry up. I'm gonna tack this top side first so I get a good straight fitment there, and then I'll hold pressure down, probably put some screws in it to pull it good and tight.
Tight, yeah!
Anytime you're doing spot welds, you want those two pieces of material to be as tight together as possible where you're making that spot weld. I mean, like a traditional spot welding machine squeezes them with a lot of force before it puts a spot weld on there. So when you're doing it with a wire welder, you want to clamp it, you want to screw it, whatever it takes to get it as tight as you can.
Tight.
So that your weld is bonding the two pieces of material together, as opposed to creating this bridge of weld in between the two pieces that'll make it weaker. What I'm gonna do is just get my top side right here. I want that as lined up as I can with a nice welding gap, and that's what I'm gonna tack. You see right here, I covered up this window. This piece of glass is showing. I've said it before, don't weld around your glass. The welds will burn into the glass and you'll hate yourself for it. I'm gonna tack this piece in, a couple nice little tacks. And I'm just doing the old blink in your eyes. And voila, that piece is in there.
And the reason I'm just doing some tacks, like I said, we want this to be as tight as we can when we're making these spot welds. So since I can't get to it to clamp it, I'm going to pre-drill me a couple little holes and put me some small self-tapping screws in there or something, just to pull it tight right next to where the weld is.
Tight, son. Yummy.
And then I'll make my spot welds, and then I can pull the screw out and just weld up that little screw hole. So, let's get this other piece lined up and stuck on there. All right. And you can see how this is going to very nicely close off this rear section of the car. We'll have to make a little filler for these holes here. And then there's two odd holes in the side over here. I'm not sure why they're here, but we'll also make some little fillers for those. And then we don't have to worry about the stank from under the car coming in the car. What's up? We're back after doing all this little bit of work. I did a lot more than I anticipated. I thought I was just gonna tack it, and I'm talking as fast as the Micro Machine Man.
Each one has dramatic details, terrific trim, precision paint jobs, plus incredible Micro Machine pocket playsets. There's a police station, fire station, restaurant, service station, and more.
I did get this inside all welded up. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna seam seal both sides when it's time to seam seal. All I really have left to do tomorrow is I need to weld up the inner structure on the back side and weld in that filler piece for the spare tire hole. And I think that section of it's done, and I'm gonna move on to making a battery box. I just wanted to build a battery box, man. That's what I wanted to do. Relocating and remounting all of our compressor tanks, valves, relays, fuses, all that good stuff. So hopefully tomorrow I get to weld up that one piece, and then I get to move on to this, because I'm excited about making these little battery box and relocating the tank and everything. I'll get back with you first thing tomorrow morning, because I'm just gonna keep plugging away on this car. That's the thing. We're gonna try to get it knocked out, knocked out, knocked out. And I'm excited to get the fuel injection put on it, so that'll be fun.